Tina Walczak is the creative director of Hiilite Web Design and Marketing. To succeed in the world of branding, Tina realized that you need to engage both halves of the brain, the logical left and the creative right. That is how Hiilite excels. Tina is going to share with us the importance of being consistent as well. Welcome to Biz One-on-One, Tina.
Thank you for having me.
The left-right side of the brain, marketing. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. I'm, the creative side, and my partner, Will, he is the technical side. And, we really struggled to see eye to eye when we first became partners, and we didn't think it would be a good idea. But then when we started creating business plans and marketing plans for our customers, we started seeing that my creative side with his technical side actually was the key to creating successful marketing campaigns, because not only did they look great, they also worked, and we could see the conversion because Will is able to read the conversion through the technical side. So it made a very, very a perfect match, you could say.
So tell me your own entrepreneurial story starting this business.
Okay, so it started back about 10 years ago when I started my own design agency called Flow Graphics. It was when right after the recession had hit, and I saw a need for the importance of branding and consistency and making sure that people know who you are. You can have the best product in the world, but if people don't know about it, then you're not going to be successful. So I started seeing a trend and how important it is to get out and network. And I started doing that for myself. And little by little, I slowly gained a following and started creating a business that was sustainable on its own through word of mouth and through advertising. And it became really exciting. And then I was able to take what I had learned and apply that to my clients and say, hey, look, this worked for me, let's do that for you.
Oh,
and it
wow.
was just
So
like
you're
a snowball.
saying that your own building of your own brand and the process that you used is what you realized, oh, I could be providing this service to others.
Exactly. And that's what we do at Hiilite. So we figure out what works for us. We take that, we experiment, we try it, and then once we find out that it works, we'll try it with our clients. And that's a great way to test, to make sure something works, right? Because you can promise something to a client, but if it's not going to work, then they might be upset, obviously.
So Hiilite is a fairly new company, 4 years old. Mm-hmm. Tell me about what you're doing for some of your clients and what you're most excited about.
Again, we're experimenting for our clients. That's fun. So we have clients that come in and they say, here's our marketing budget for the year. Can you create a plan for us? We get very excited when that happens.
Yeah, that's perfect. It's a wide open, it's a blank canvas.
Exactly. And what's really great about it is we're able to actually measure results. So we've created our own software that when we put out a campaign, whether it's a video, whether it's a Google ad or a Facebook advertisement, we can actually see how many people saw the ad, how many conversions they received from the ad as well, which is outstanding to be able to do, is to say, hey, we created this is how effective it was. And being able to measure that is how we can prove that what we're doing is going to work.
What is the most fun you have in your business?
Oh, I get to create. Who doesn't love creating?
Well, some people don't, actually.
Really?
But it's amazing how
me.
creative people often get, you talked about maybe being put in a box in a big agency. Creative people often don't get a chance to be creative.
No.
Now, in your case, of course, you've got a partner who we talked about left brain, right brain.
Yeah.
You've got that balance in your company. It's so important to be able to put a team together.
Yeah, and I was going to say that too. I mean, the foundation of our company is based off of that box model. So when people come in and they're just starting out, they're very nervous. They come in and they think, oh, I need to stay to this structure, kind of like how you're taught in school. follow these rules, give me the deliverables, next project. We say, don't do that. What do you think? Think about design thinking. What do your customers want? What kind of activities do they do in the day? And start there and start creating a concept based off of them. Not here's a project and follow through on X, Y, Z. Why don't you take it on and try to create something yourself and be creative? And that's really interesting, and it's fun to watch these people who are very timid and maybe a little bit more introverted start coming out of their shell, and they're creating these amazing things, and they come up with brilliant ideas. I think I'm pretty creative, but some of our staff are just brilliant, and they come up with exceptional products.
So Tina, you happen to be in business in a partnership with your husband. A lot of people wonder how that works. It's the actual literal mom and pop business, but you're a lot bigger than a mom and pop company now. How's it going?
It's going amazing. It's funny, a lot of people ask us how we do it, and you hear people who say that's a bad idea. It's not a good idea. And in most cases, I would agree with them. But I think what makes us different is that we have this level of respect for one another that we created at the beginning of our relationship. We knew that this was going to be really, really tough, not only on our relationship together, but just in general. Running a business.
It's not easy building a business at the best of times.
We all know that.
And growing a relationship
within it. But how fun is it to be able to create with your partner? It's so awesome. I love showing Will something, and I'm excited about it. And he sees it, and he might give me a little critique, but then he's also excited. Now he's engaged, and now we're creating something better. That is the most amazing thing in the world. I get to share what I love with my partner. To me, that means more than anything.
Tina, it looks like you're having a lot of fun. It's Hiilite Web Design and Marketing. Congratulations on your success so far, and thank you for joining us on Biz 101.
Thank you for having me.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks.
Coming up next, Will Walczak of Hiilite Web Design and Marketing.
You think you know The Brick? Sure, everyone knows The Brick is the place for the guaranteed lowest prices on home furnishings. But do you know how we do it? Buying power, that's how. The Brick has over 200 locations across Canada, with over 7 million square feet of showrooms. That means we buy a lot of stuff from all over the world. And the more we buy, the more you save. The Brick. Saving you more. That's not just a slogan. Saving you more is our obsession.
Wonder lives in you. It's the moments that capture you and make you feel alive, leaving you breathless, wanting more. Feed your imagination, because some things are worth dreaming about, and some things are worth living. Rediscover your wonder.
Shoveling snow in January and February is hard work. That's why there's Eden. Eden, the leader in on-demand cold weather snow removal and warm weather lawn care, makes it easy to request a professional and fully insured contractor to remove your snow right from your smartphone. Eden is designed for busy professionals, people with aging parents or physical limitations, snowbirds, and of course, people who just hate shoveling. Download the Eden app in the iTunes or Google Play Store today and enjoy 15% off your first job by using the promo code EdenTV.
Every time I come in, Chris always follows up with me, always asks me how my service was, if there's anything that they could have done better. He makes me feel really important.
You're not going to get treated better. The work done was awesome, but I thought that the personal touch and the service, Chris was always top-notch.
We've met new employees, and if I go back the next time, they know who we are. Whenever I take our cars in, I feel like I'm someone special. They treat me extremely well.
Will Walczak, Director of Hiilite Web Design and Marketing, realized that if a business has the best product or idea in the world, well, that really means nothing if no one knows about it. That's where Hiilite shines bright. Will is here today to talk about how Hiilite brings emotionally affecting design, marketing, analytics, and business principles together to help businesses achieve success. And he'll share his 3 quotes to live by. Welcome to Biz One-on-One, Will.
Thank you, sir.
So, design, marketing, you're essentially a marketing, branding agency. What the heck is that in today's world?
So it's, you know what, the funny thing is that everyone seems to think, you know, there's so many new mediums out there and we need to worry about. We apply solid branding and marketing fundamentals across a whole bunch of different platforms. So it's essentially, how do we take your brand or your product or your business and get it out in front of the right people with the right message? And where we're really focused is, how do you measure that? How do you measure that you're doing it well? So in 2017, it's so much easier to be able to say, hey, here's what we're doing, and here's how well it's working.
And that's your key part of the business, is sort of the analytics of it. And I'm not a good old days guy. It's so great in today's world where you can spend money on getting your message out there and you can tell whether it's working or not.
Absolutely. So I think what's changed in the last 30, 40 years is you don't need a massive budget to get a massive following. What social media has done, what all of these different channels have done, is given companies and individuals access to massive followings, and finding where their early adopters are going to be. Where are those innovators? Where's their following? So my strength, you mentioned, is the analytics side. My background is actually in engineering. So when we went into the marketing side of things, it was, we're approaching this from a very, very empirically driven perspective. How do we measure? How do we figure out where the return on investment is coming from? So I always say, we've got some really, really talented designer, and my wife is one of them.
Yeah, and your company is a husband and wife team,
It
right?
is indeed, and she's the best designer I've ever met. But she's the one who's responsible for making things beautiful. But I'm the one who's responsible for making sure they're working, and that we're iterating in the right direction, and that we're improving, and that we're affecting someone's bottom line.
So I've had the pleasure of interviewing your wife and business partner, Tina, and I asked her about being married to your partner in business.
Yeah.
Sounds like a recipe for a disaster.
It is, you know what, I've heard that so many times, and it always comes from people who've never done it. Everyone we've talked to who's had a lifetime with their partner in work, they're thrilled. You get to work with your best friend. You get to build something together. I've had the luck in my life to find the girl who completely understands what we do and appreciates the late nights and appreciates the amount of effort it goes into building something. So there are no red flags here. It's the most wonderful thing you can do, and I couldn't be more thankful and happier.
A lot of people, maybe a little more in my age group or younger, are running big companies, and they know, they're doing their marketing, but they know they need to somehow be involved in social media, or they need to somehow capture. It's almost like they need to go into the mailroom. There are no more mail rooms. That just I told you something right there. But go to the the entry level person, someone in their 20s, and say, by the way, you got any ideas of what we should be doing on the marketing side?
We see this all the time. Businesses will hire, here's the receptionist, here's someone who's young. They'll trust them with here, you're 20 years old, you understand how social media works, run this. We've seen so much damage caused to brands because they're putting up cat pictures or their wine pictures or their selfies from something. And it's, just because you're young, it doesn't mean that you understand what the purpose is. Yes, you can make noise and you're more cavalier about it and less reserved, so you're going to put a whole bunch of stuff up there, but it just adds to the noise.
That's a very good point. Just because you're young and you are on social media, it doesn't mean to say you know anything about marketing. How do you bridge that gap?
So it's really important to understand what the goal, what you're trying to do. And this goes back to those marketing fundamentals. So when we start working with the client, we identify those things. So we consult with them and say, look, your secretary can completely do your social media. Our job isn't to take as much of the revenue as possible. It's actually to help enable that company. And if they have a resource inside that is a good fit for that, absolutely. but let's make sure that they really know what they're supposed to be talking about, what they're supposed to be promoting.
So you've had a lot of success. The company's growing. You're growing into bigger and bigger clients. Where are you headed?
We never want to get comfortable. We never want to become complacent. The majority of the clients that we work with, we don't actually even sign contracts with them. We want to make sure that we continue to provide value. So I'm hoping where the future of Hiilite is working with bigger clients who appreciate the value of effective marketing, are able to look at our equation and say, okay, look, they're actually bringing something really valuable to the table. So we're going to keep our heads down, make sure that we continue to provide as much value as we possibly can. And we're going to continue finding clients who really want to grow. So
we promised to share with people your sort of top 3 slogans. So what's a Polish guy from Winnipeg? What are your slogans for success?
So there are 3 that keep coming up, and I'm sure everyone on our team is just tired of me droning on about them, but they're extremely important. One is everything communicates. I don't care whether it's the way you greet people by email, how people answer the phone, how they feel in your presence, what they experience when they walk into the office, it all says something. And most people really miss that. It's everything says something about you. Everything communicates.
Spoken like a true engineer. I don't think so. That's pretty cool.
No,
Number 2.
Number 2 is, this is one that comes up, and that's the field of dreams approach is not the one that works for business. It's if you build it, they will come. We know so many people who, here's a product, that's step number 1. It's if you don't know what the audience is, if you're building, that's the engineering approach where you just build something and expect it to work. It turns out marketing really needs to lead that initiative. You need to have a really good understanding of your audience, of what their needs are, and how it is you're supposed to communicate with them.
How are they going to come and why are they going to come before we start building anything?
Exactly. Yeah, that's one that we constantly talk about. And then the last one that I really, really like is what gets measured gets managed, right? This is pure just business 101. We need to make sure that we understand not only where our audience is coming from, where our revenue is coming from, where our profit centers are, what are our cost centers, how do we refocus, how do we end up doing the marketing side, but really it's almost like a consulting business side of things. So it's really neat.
Well, I'm going to say that we're going to measure the success of this interview, and I think it's been fantastic. And thank you so much for joining us, Will.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on Biz 101.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Coming up next, Brad Yasar of Yasar Corporation.
You think you know The Brick? Sure, everyone knows The Brick is the place for the guaranteed lowest prices on home furnishings. But do you know how we do it? Buying power, that's how. The Brick has over 200 locations across Canada, with over 7 million square feet of showrooms. That means we buy a lot of stuff from all over the world. And the more we buy, the more you save. The Brick. Saving you more. That's not just a slogan. Saving you more is our obsession.
Wonder lives in you. It's the moments that capture you and make you feel alive, leaving you breathless, wanting more. Feed your imagination, because some things are worth dreaming about, and some things are worth living. Rediscover your one.
Shoveling snow in January and February is hard work. That's why there's Eden. Eden, the leader in on-demand cold weather snow removal and warm weather lawn care, makes it easy to request a professional and fully insured contractor to remove your snow right from your smartphone. Eden is designed for busy professionals, people with aging parents or physical limitations, snowbirds, and of course, people who just hate shoveling. Download the Eden app in the iTunes or Google Play Store today and enjoy 15% off your first job by using the promo code EdenTV.
Peter, who's outside?
That guy? I stole him the chainsaw this morning.
Brad Yasar of Yasar Corporation sold his first company when he was 15 years old and is one of the top angel investors in California. Needless to say, he's been an entrepreneur his whole career. Today he's going to tell us his story as an entrepreneur and the important things he's learned throughout his life. Welcome to Biz 101, Brad.
Thank you for having me, Randy.
It's so great to have you here. And how could we not start with selling your first business at 15?
Well, that wasn't by design. I just, I guess, happened to be lucky with a good idea. And I started writing code at a very early age. And never.
What do you mean an early age? Like you started writing code at how old?
I want to say 9 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, that's when I started actually putting meaningful software together, not just learning and playing around with it. But that point on, it was never a commercial pursuit for me. It was more, hey, computers are exciting. I want to learn more about it. Let me figure out what kind of trouble I can get in with this device. And started experimenting, writing code. And one day I was looking at a software shop and seeing a computer sitting next to a cash register. And I just went and asked them, I said, hey, if the computer could do what your cash register does, would you be interested in buying that software? Because to me, it was a logical marriage of the two devices. And they loved it. They loved it in the old days of dot matrix printers and early personal computers. So that was the commercial software I started with. That took me from 9, 10 years all the way to 15 years old when it took a life of its own. And there was so much time required to keep the software updated and run the business. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wasn't even of age to sign contracts, so I had help. But it was still, most of the development was done by me.
It's very rare to talk to someone who actually started a business at age 9. Now, that's not so rare. You know, I'm going to go mow the neighbor's lawn, I'll make some money. But a software company at age 9, and you exit at age 15, I got to hear a little bit more about the detail about that.
Well, again, I was doing the right thing at the right place, and had to make a decision at 15. Do I focus on school? I was a high achiever academically. I, didn't want to let go of that. And as far as the business goes, what do I do there? Because it was growing. So
growing. Did you have like other people working in the company?
Yeah. At one time, we had 6 people working full time for the business.
And were you like the CEO of the company, like you were 14, 15?
I did not even have an official title because I couldn't. I was the person behind the curtains doing all the development and building the relationship with potential clients or distributors because I spoke their language. They really liked having a young kid come in and say, hey, I can make you money, and all ears perked up. And as far as the CEO, it was a friend of mine who could sign documents, and my dad was involved too.
So Brad, you were obviously a brilliant kid, and you built a software package that really revolutionized an industry. You sold the company. What are some of the highlights of since then?
Well, I think the highlights have been after higher education, I tried my chops at doing some e-commerce implementation, and that failed miserably. That was my lesson to pivot, and pivot quick and find something that the market is responding to. So that turned into a big data company that was also acquired by our first customer. So that was a highlight. And then I had a consulting business for over a decade. Again, my quest for trying to figure out what I want to do with my life and what really excites me, and that changes as we all progress in life, has never ended. So I had a successful consulting business. after that. Learned how to do sales, learned a bunch of industries that I had no connection before.
Tell me the quick sales story, because you shared this with me before. So you're this brilliant genius guy that's
You're too
inventing
kind.
stuff. But you're not a sales guy.
Yes, exactly. I realized after my second venture that things were given to me. I didn't feel like I made a sale, I pitched to an investor and got an investment, and I really wanted to learn that, because I know you can have brilliant ideas, you can develop amazing technologies. If you don't know how to sell it, well, who's going to know about it? It's as simple as that. So after my second company, I took an inside sales job at a call center, and it was smile and dial.
So hold on, 2 successful exits. We're talking about millions of dollars.
It was okay, yes. Yes.
And you go take like a basic junior level call center.
Minimum wage call center job, because
Wow.
I knew if I could learn how to do that successfully, I can then develop my corporate sales skills and investor pitches and everything all the tools as a business person I'm going to need to approach a stranger and at least get their attention. So did that for a little bit. When I started, there was this one gentleman. He was beating everyone by a long measure, and everyone looked up to him. And I got in, I said, if he can do it, I can do it. And that's how I do things in life. When I see someone being extremely good at something, extremely successful, I tell myself, if someone else, another human being can do this, I can do it. And it's a lot of hard work. When I started doing sales, I worked 16-hour days, made hundreds of calls, heard every single rejection you can imagine, and then some others that you wouldn't. And it made me a better person, a better business person, a better entrepreneur, because then I knew, okay, if I bring this product to life, this is what I'm going to deal with, and this is how I can overcome it.
Well, Brad Yasar, you're an inspiration to not only the code writers and the software engineers, but also to the salespeople. And we so much appreciate you coming up to Canada to do Biz 101, and we're definitely going to have you back. And Brad will be joining us on a future show, and we're going to learn all about your next career as an angel investor. Brad, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.